What could have caused a giant elephant, famous for stopping trucks to beg for sugarcane, to suddenly stop reaching for food and instead let out heart-wrenching cries on the dusty red dirt road that winds through endless sugarcane fields where sluggish trucks trundle by every day? This question has left everyone stunned. The elephant, a familiar friend to the drivers, usually appears with a majestic yet endearing presence, its long trunk deftly curling around sweet bundles of sugarcane as part of a joyful routine. But today, everything has changed. Under the faint morning light, the convoy of trucks rolls along as usual. The hum of engines mixes with the driver's laughter and chatter, all of them anticipating the moment when the giant elephant steps out to collect its sugarcane toll. And then it appears, a massive figure blocking the road. But no sugarcane is tossed out, and the usual cheerful banter is absent. Instead, the air is shattered by the elephant's mournful cries, echoing like a desperate plea for help. These are not the familiar joyful trumpets, but agonizing roars that send chills down the driver's spines. What's happening? The drivers panic, gripping their steering wheels tightly, eyes fixed on the elephant that now seems like a menacing ghost. What's wrong with it? Is it going mad? They whisper, hastily accelerating to swerve around it. Every truck speeds up, veering to the sides, none daring to stop. Fear spreads, fear of being charged by the elephant, fear of the unknown terror behind those horrifying screams. Yet, amid the chaos, a bigger question lingers. What lies behind those heart-wrenching cries? Most choose to flee, but one man cannot ignore it. Who will be brave enough to step out of the safety of their truck, listen to the haunting call of the elephant, and uncover the mystery behind its cries? Welcome to Animal Kisa, where we share inspiring animal rescue stories, spreading love and connection between humans and animals through dramatic and emotional moments. This is a place where you might shed tears of joy and feel a deeper bond with the natural world. If you love stories like this, please hit the subscribe button to support the spirit of Animal Kisa, and don't forget to ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Stepping into the mystery. Have you ever imagined a peaceful morning suddenly shattered by the mournful cries of a giant elephant? In a remote Thai countryside, where endless sugarcane fields stretch under the golden sun, this is not just a fantasy, it's part of everyday life. Narrow, winding red dirt roads snake through villages, serving not only as paths for sluggish sugarcane trucks, but also as playgrounds for wild elephants. They stride with majestic grace, their large ears flapping like fans, and their long trunks reaching for whatever they desire. To the locals, elephants are more than animals. They are symbols of strength, wisdom, and giant companions in daily life. But today, something unusual awaits on that familiar road. A massive female elephant, affectionately known as Mei Yai, meaning Big Mother in Thai, is about to leave everyone speechless. Mei Yai is no ordinary elephant. With her enormous body, ears like sails, and a trunk that can snatch a bundle of sugarcane in an instant, she is a living icon of the countryside. The locals love her not just for her impressive size, but for her friendly, approachable nature. Whenever she appears, blocking the road with a mix of dignity and charm, truck drivers happily stop to share sweet sugarcane. She is never aggressive, always nodding or waving her trunk in thanks, making everyone see her as a member of the community. Among Mei Yai's friends is a special man, Somchai, a kind-hearted truck driver with boundless love for animals. Somchai is more than just a driver hauling sugarcane down dusty roads. He always wears a gentle smile, his eyes lighting up whenever he sees Mei Yai. Dressed in a worn shirt and a sun-shielding cap, he looks like any other villager, but his heart sets him apart. He often stops not just to give Mei Yai sugarcane, but to talk to her, stroking her trunk as if she were a dear friend. "Mei Yai, how are you today? Don't eat too much or you'll get a stomachache," he jokes, and somehow the elephant seems to understand, responding with a gentle flap of her ears. Beside Somchai is Boonmi, his best friend and fellow truck driver. Boonmi is a bit plump, usually seen in a t-shirt and jeans, his glasses highlighting his timid nature. Though not as bold as Somchai, Boonmi is always ready to support his friend. Together they have driven these roads hundreds of times, sharing stories about Mei Yai and laughing about her sugarcane tax on their convoy. To them, Mei Yai is not just an elephant, she is part of their lives, a giant friend who always brings joy. But that morning everything changed. As dawn broke, casting the first rays of sunlight over the sugarcane fields, the truck convoy began its familiar journey. The rumble of engines blended with the chirping of birds along the roadside trees, creating a peaceful countryside symphony. The drivers smiled, chatting through their windows, predicting that Mei Yai would soon appear to greet them as usual. And sure enough, a massive figure emerged from the distance, blocking the road. It was Mei Yai, with her familiar majestic stance. "Time to pay the toll," one driver laughed, preparing to toss out a bundle of sugarcane. But then their smiles faded. Mei Yai did not rummage through the trucks for sugarcane as she always did. She stood still, her trunk raised high and let out heart-wrenching cries that echoed across the fields. These were not her usual joyful trumpets, but painful roars, as if she were crying out, begging for something. The drivers were stunned, panicked. "What's happening? Is something wrong with her?" they whispered, gripping their steering wheels tightly. Every truck accelerated, trying to avoid the giant elephant that now seemed like a mysterious, ghostly figure. Somchai, driving at the end of the convoy, felt his heart pounding in his chest. He stopped his truck and gazed at Mei Yai from a distance. The elephant's large, usually playful eyes now reflected an indescribable despair. "Something's not right," he muttered to himself. Somchai knew that Mei Yai wasn't simply hungry or angry. She was trying to communicate something, and he, with his deep affection for her, couldn't ignore it. Despite the fear gnawing at him, he made a decision no one else dared: to step out of his truck and face the elephant. "Somchai, are you out of your mind? Get back here," Boonmi shouted from his own truck, but Somchai didn't listen. He walked slowly toward Mei Yai, hands raised in a calming gesture. "Mei Yai, it's me. What's wrong? Why aren't you taking the sugarcane like you always do?" he asked, his voice gentle but trembling. The elephant recognized him, her close friend. She stopped her cries, and her trunk gently touched Somchai's shoulder in a familiar, friendly gesture. But then something unexpected happened. Mei Yai turned and began walking slowly into the dense forest beside the road, pausing occasionally to trumpet loudly, as if beckoning him to follow. From his truck, Boonmi watched the entire scene unfold. A wave of anxiety washed over him, but curiosity tugged at him just as strongly. "What does she want? Somchai, wait for me." He quickly locked his truck, parked it by the roadside, and ran after his friend. The two men, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and hope, ventured into the depths of the forest, following Mei Yai's heavy footsteps. Her cries echoed through the stillness, like a haunting plea for help. Little did they know, deep within the forest, a heart-wrenching secret awaited them. Something that Mei Yai, with all her wisdom and emotion, had risked everything to lead them to. What could make a gentle elephant like Mei Yai so desperate? Would Somchai and Boonmi have the courage to face the truth? The answer lay ahead, where the sunlight faded, giving way to the forest's encroaching darkness. Somchai and Boonmi walked in silence, each step feeling heavier as they ventured deeper into the desolate forest. The dense canopy of trees intertwined above them, blocking out the light and casting the surroundings in a mysterious, deep green shadow. The wind whispered through the leaves, carrying the rustling of branches and the distant hum of insects, as if the forest itself was murmuring warnings. Despite the growing unease in their hearts, their love for Mei Yai, the elephant, they had bonded with for so long, and the intuition that she was in grave danger pushed them to brave the unknown. "She needs us," Somchai whispered, his eyes fixed resolutely ahead. They had walked about 10 kilometers, their legs aching and sweat streaming down their faces. Mei Yai's enormous footprints in the damp earth were their only guide. But suddenly, amidst the thick trees, the footprints vanished. "Where's Mei Yai?" Boonmi asked, his voice tinged with panic. Somchai glanced around, his heart racing. A sense of disorientation enveloped them, the silence almost suffocating. "Maybe we should turn back," Boonmi suggested, but Somchai shook his head. "No, she's close. I can feel it." Just then, a loud cry pierced the forest stillness from afar. It was Mei Yai, her voice deep, filled with pain and desperation, like a final plea for help. "There!" Somchai exclaimed, sprinting toward the sound. Boonmi hurried after him, pushing through thorny bushes and tangled roots, his heart pounding with a mixture of hope and dread. Finally, they came to a halt before a sight that left them both speechless. At the edge of a vast dark mud pit, black and seemingly bottomless, Mei Yai stood, her trunk wrapped tightly around a small figure sinking into the thick, viscous mud. It was her calf, with only its head visible above the surface, its eyes closed from exhaustion, its breathing faint like a flickering flame. Mei Yai trumpeted in anguish, desperately trying to pull her baby free, but the mud seemed to swallow her efforts. Her massive legs sank into the earth, mud splattering everywhere, yet she refused to give up. Somchai and Bunmi stood frozen, their hearts aching at the sight. "Oh God, the calf!" Bunmi choked out, his voice breaking as tears welled in his eyes. Mei Yai turned to them, her eyes pleading as if begging, "Save my child!" Faced with this heartbreaking scene, the two men felt utterly helpless, but a fire of determination ignited within them. They couldn't turn away. Yet, in this wild, remote forest, with only their bare hands and limited strength, could they possibly save the calf from the deadly mud pit? The calf lay motionless in the thick black mud, its small body almost entirely submerged. The mud had risen to its nostrils, leaving only its head above the surface, like a tiny island in a sea of muck. Each breath was weak and labored, the flame of life flickering precariously. Mei Yai, the giant mother elephant, stood beside her baby, her massive legs sinking into the ground. Her trunk was wrapped tightly around the calf, pulling with all her might, but the mud was like an invisible monster holding the young one captive. Mei Yai's large eyes were filled with despair, her mournful cries echoing through the forest, a sound that pierced the hearts of all who heard it. Somchai and Bunmi stood frozen, their hearts gripped with anguish at the sight before them. Mei Yai's cries were more than mere sounds. They were the raw pain, the desperate plea of a mother watching her child slowly sink toward death. "We have to do something," Somchai whispered, his voice trembling with urgency. He quickly grabbed his phone, hands shaking, as he dialed the Elephant Rescue Center. "Please come right now, there's a baby elephant stuck in the mud, it's barely breathing," he pleaded. But the voice on the other end replied with a cold detachment. "We'll get there as soon as we can, but your location is too far. It'll take at least half a day." Half a day. Those words cut like a blade. The calf couldn't hold on that long. The mud was rising by the minute, and its breathing grew fainter with each passing second. Somchai and Bunmi felt powerless, yet they couldn't walk away. They sat down beside the mud pit, their eyes locked on the calf, offering gentle words to comfort Mei Yai, even though they knew she couldn't understand. "Hang on, Mei Yai. The rescue team's coming," Bunmi said, his voice thick with emotion. Time dragged on, each moment an agonizing eternity. The sun dipped below the horizon, and darkness swallowed the forest, deepening the heavy air. Somchai's feeble flashlight illuminated only a sliver of the mud pit, where the calf lay still, the mud nearly covering its head. Its breaths were almost silent now. Mei Yai kept trying, but her strength was fading. She let out a long, anguished cry as if teetering on the edge of surrender. Then, out of the darkness, the faint roar of engines rumbled in the distance. The rescue team had arrived. Headlights sliced through the night, casting light on the heart-wrenching scene. They brought ropes, pulleys, and a small crane working with desperate haste. But time was slipping away. The mud had nearly engulfed the calf's head, its breaths reduced to weak, pitiful whimpers. "Hurry! It can't hold on much longer," Somchai yelled, his voice breaking with despair. The team looped ropes around the calf's body, using the crane to hoist it up, but the mud clung tight, resisting their efforts. Sweat soaked their clothes as they pushed themselves to the brink, yet it felt like all hope was lost. Rescuing the baby elephant at night, the night draped the dense forest in inky blackness, broken only by the faint glow of flashlights and the harsh beams of the rescue team's vehicles, illuminating the muddy pit where the baby elephant lay trapped. The growl of engines filled the air as cranes and excavators rolled into action, their massive wheels grinding through the soft earth, forging a rugged path through the thick trees to reach the scene. The cold, damp air reeked of mud, blending with the ceaseless drone of insects and the rustling of leaves in the wind, crafting a wild, tense atmosphere. The rescue team worked feverishly, sweat streaming down their faces despite the forest's chill creeping through their clothes. They knew every second brought the calf closer to the edge, but their progress was soon stalled by Mei Yai, the calf's mother. In a frenzy of panic, Mei Yai lost all restraint. Her wide, round eyes blazed with fear and fury, her ears flared, and her enormous frame circled the mud pit restlessly. Each time the team drew near, she charged, slamming her trunk into the ground and shoving them back with terrifying force. Her trumpeting rang through the forest, a blend of warning and desperate cry. "Stay away from my baby." That seemed to be the meaning behind every lunge and swing of her trunk. The rescuers fell back, hearts pounding in their chests. "She won't let us work like this," one shouted, his voice taut with strain. The rescue stalled again and again, and a creeping sense of defeat settled over them. From a distance, Somchai and Bunmi watched, their faces shadowed with grief and worry. They knew Mei Yai wasn't vicious by nature. She was just a mother, shielding her child as any mother would. With years spent among elephants, they understood that only kindness and trust could turn the tide. "We've got to step in, Bunmi," Somchai said, his tone low but resolute. "She'll know it's us." Bunmi nodded, though fear gnawed at him. "Okay, but we need to move carefully." They approached slowly, hands raised in a gesture of peace, each step measured on the yielding ground. "Mei Yai, it's us," Somchai called, his voice gentle as a lullaby. Mei Yai turned, her ears twitching, her eyes searching them. She sniffed the air as if catching the familiar scent of the two men who had tended to her before. Still cautious, she didn't charge this time. Heartened, Somchai and Bunmi edged closer, murmuring softly, "Don't be scared, Mei Yai. We're here to save your little one." When they were near enough, they reached out, brushing her trunk and ears, feeling the rough skin quiver beneath their touch. "Easy now. We'll get your baby out," Bunmi said, his voice warm as the night breeze. Little by little, Mei Yai's frantic breathing steadied, and her furious trumpets faded. She gazed at Somchai and Bunmi, then at her calf, her eyes softening as if she grasped their purpose. With a deep, weary sigh, she sank down, her massive body settling into the mud, though her eyes never strayed from her child. Her hostility dissolved, giving way to a fragile trust that let the rescue team resume their work. Thanks to Somchai and Bunmi's courage, the standoff eased, and the team could focus on freeing the calf. The tension lingered, but a flicker of hope pierced the darkness. Then, in an unexpected move, Mei Yai stepped forward, her trunk grazing a rescuer's shoulder, as if saying, "Let me help." The team made room for her. Together, with the strength of the crew and Mei Yai combined, they pulled. The ropes groaned, the machines thundered, and with a sudden pop, the calf broke free from the mud's grasp. It collapsed on the ground, coated in mud, its chest rising and falling faintly. The team rushed to clear its airways and offered it water. Mei Yai surged forward, her trunk tenderly stroking her calf's face. The baby elephant blinked open its eyes, gazed up at its mother, and let out a small, exhausted but hopeful trumpet. Tears rolled down Somchai and Bunmi's cheeks as they watched the reunion unfold. The worst was over, but the story wasn't finished. The calf was safe, though it would need time to heal. And Mei Yai, the fearless mother, had shown them all the boundless power of a mother's love, revival and reunion. After moments of breathless tension, when the last rope was pulled tight and the baby elephant was freed from the cold, muddy pit, a wave of relief washed over the air. The calf's small body lay stretched out on the ground, thick black mud clinging to its skin, covering nearly its entire form. Its eyes were shut tight, its breathing faint, like a fragile thread dangling between life and death. But it was still alive. That was the truth everyone held on to, like a burning ray of hope in the deep forest night. The rescue team didn't waste a second. One member hurried over with a long hose, and cool, clean water began to flow, gently spraying over the baby elephant. The water washed away the thick layer of mud, revealing the wrinkled grey skin beneath. Under the faint glow of flashlights, small scratches appeared, but thankfully there were no serious injuries. The steady sound of flowing water mixed with the hum of insects in the night, composing a symphony of life being rekindled. Mei Yai, the giant mother elephant, stood close by, her large round eyes never leaving her calf for even a moment. Her long trunk reached out, gently touching the calf's head like a tender embrace, as if whispering, "My love, I'm here with you." A soft trumpet escaped her, no longer the desperate cry from before, but now a melody of comfort and love. The rescue team worked cautiously, keeping just enough distance to avoid alarming Mei Yai. They knew that even though she had calmed down, her instinct to protect her child was always ready to flare up. Once the last of the mud was washed away, a veterinarian from the team stepped forward, holding a small syringe. "It needs antibiotics and some nutrients to recover," he said, his voice calm but determined. Somchai and Bunmi, the two friends standing nearby, couldn't take their eyes off the calf. Their hearts pounded with a mix of worry and hope. The vet gently injected the medicine into the calf's small body, then stepped back to observe. "Now we wait," he said. "If it can stand up within the next 30 minutes, it'll be okay." Time seemed to stand still. Each minute stretched like an hour, heavy with tension. The rescue team sat in a small circle around the calf, their flashlights casting light on their tired but hopeful faces. Somchai held Bunmi's hand tightly, saying nothing, just silently praying. Mei Yai lay down beside her calf, her trunk wrapped around it, her steady breathing like a lullaby. The space was quiet, filled only with the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves and the beating hearts of those waiting for a miracle. Then, after about 20 minutes, the miracle happened. The calf stirred slightly, its small ears perked up and its eyes slowly opened, gleaming with a faint but vital spark of life. It took a deep breath, as if waking from a long dream. Everyone held their breath, hardly daring to believe their eyes. The calf slowly lifted its head, and with every ounce of strength left, it pushed itself up on trembling legs. Though wobbly, it didn't fall. Mei Yai sprang to her feet, her trunk embracing her calf, and let out a resounding trumpet, like a cry of victory echoing through the silent forest. Somchai and Bunmi couldn't contain their emotions. Tears streamed down their faces as they hugged each other, laughing and crying in boundless happiness. "It did it! It's standing!" Bunmi shouted, his voice choked with joy. The rescue team erupted in celebration too. They clapped, embraced, and shared in the miraculous moment. The veterinarian smiled, nodding in satisfaction. "It will live," he said, "thanks to its mother's love and all our efforts." Though still weak, the calf stood steadier now. It took slow, unsteady steps, but with determination following its mother. Mei Yai led the way, occasionally looking back at her calf, her trunk gently touching it as if to encourage, "You're doing great. Follow me." The two elephants gradually disappeared into the forest's darkness, Mei Yai's large silhouette and the calf's tiny footsteps blending together, leaving everyone with a profound, unforgettable emotion. Somchai and Bunmi stood there, watching, until the mother and calf were completely out of sight. They felt a special connection, not just between themselves, but with nature, with the life they had just helped save. "Today, we did something incredible," Somchai said, his voice warm with pride. Bunmi nodded, smiling brightly. "I'll never forget this moment," he replied, his eyes shining with joy. The rescue team packed up their gear, their headlights fading into the distance, returning the forest to its natural peace. But that night, a beautiful story had been written about undying maternal love, human solidarity, and the power of hope. Oh, a mother's love and human compassion. Truly, they are the miracles that make life magical. As dawn broke, through the misty haze, Mei Yai and her calf slowly walked into the lush green forest. Mei Yai's enormous figure gradually disappeared behind the trees, blending with the rustling leaves and the peaceful sounds of nature. Somchai and Bunmi watched quietly, their hearts warmed by the joy of life saved. They returned to their trucks, carrying with them a touching story to share with the locals, spreading love and courage far and wide. From then on, whenever Mei Yai stopped Somchai and Bunmi's trucks, she didn't just take sugarcane, she also gently touched them with her trunk, as if to say thank you. It was a special friendship that transcended all boundaries. The story spread, inspiring others about the power of love between humans and nature. If this journey moved you, please share the story with others and leave a positive comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to the Animal Kisa channel to help spread the love between humans and animals. Your small action can create wonders. Thank you for listening and see you in the next video.